Hey everyone, welcome to The Gig, a series about film and TV from behind the scenes and on the screen. We are your hosts, Leila T. Rosario
and Jessica Al Ransom.
And today we are interviewing director Malik Vitthal.
Yes. Born and raised in Los Angeles, Malik graduated from the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. He co-wrote his feature film debut as a director, Imperial Dreams, which was developed at the Sundance Institute Screenwriters Lab and the Jerusalem International Film Lab.
Imperial Dreams premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, where it won the Audience Award, Best of Next, and is now available on Netflix. Vitthal is developing his second film at the Torino Film Lab, whilst establishing himself as the commercial director to watch this year in 2020.
Hi, Malik. Tell us your origin story and how'd you link up with the Corner Shop?
Yeah, I was heavily into sports when I was younger. Then I got into filmmaking and decided that would be a good way for me to kind of do my share for our community, local community. I'm an idealist, thinking that at some point we may be able to achieve world peace. And I felt like filmmaking was a great way to kind of speak to everyone in the world and at the same time entertain them. So, I went to school at USC, as you guys mentioned. And then when I got out, I was working on commercials and all that, as, working towards actually being able to kind of, support myself as a filmmaker. But, I worked as a production assistant and I worked behind the scenes in every kind of capacity. And eventually I met this directing and producing team, the director, Peter Thwaites, and the producer, Anna Hashmi. They came over from the UK to shoot a bunch of commercials, and they would always bring me on to them. And eventually Anna and Peter opened up their own commercial production company called The Corner Shop. And they basically supported me since I was a PA, and they always got me a job in the agency. And, one time the agency was like, hey, we know you're making this script and you want to make this film. They were like, hey, do you want to act in this commercial? So I ended up acting in the commercial, and that helped me kind of be able to focus on writing for a year, which was nice. So I didn't have to do any driving or anything. And so I owe a lot of my career to the support that they've given me before I games, and then after I made it, I sat down with her. She was like, I love this. She was like, this is really special, and I think you could have a sing career in commercials. What do you think about that? And I was like, yeah, it's always been my dream. And so she just kind of set out to develop me. She was like, let's go make this, let's go make that. And she just helped me understand the world and that shorter medium. And we eventually got some jobs. And then, for the talk, that was something that was pretty small. It was just like an amazing concept, a great script. And we just threw at it. We're like, this is a great opportunity. But more than anything, it was just opportunity or anything. It was just, this is an important story. And so we all just kind of leaned into it and put a lot of love into it. And, we were fortunate with the outcome.
That's beautiful. Can you tell us, as a director, who inspires you, and as a writer, what inspires you?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very spiritual community, and there was a lot of people there that created a lot of stuff, music and whatnot. And much of that was based on devotion. And so that group of people that I was raised around are definitely the inspiration for how I create and what I create, So it's like I guess my family. And, they're a special group that, I just want to properly represent when I go out into the world.
I felt that. What do you like better, writing or directing? Do you have a preference? Do you want to continue to do both? And also, can you share some of your writing, the programs that you use for writing your scripts now?
Yeah. So writing, I'll do some stuff and like just Microsoft Word for, commercial pitches, or, writing scripts, I'll use Final Draft. And in terms of which one do I like more, writing or directing, I feel like it's, um, there's a time for each, so, growing up playing sports, it's like, when it's time to kind of use an aggressive kind of approach to scoring, or you kind of let the game come to yourself. So they're both valuable when they're needed. I love directing. I love writing. Yeah, I love them both. Yeah.
Let's dive into some of your commercial work. What clients have you worked with? Any agencies? What's been your favorite commercials to direct now?
Yeah, so I've made a few commercials, and the clients have been like University of Phoenix, P&G, Foot Locker, Chase Bank, and I feel like voice, although it's still early in my career, but just in terms of what my intentions are as a storyteller, that I tend to get stories that are along those lines of something that's has a sense of kind of humanity in it, or like empathy for whatever we're going through in this experience. So yeah, I feel like I'm happy in that, right? Because people come to me because they're like, we want something that you could do best, which is really nice. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Where do you see yourself going from here? Do you see yourself possibly moving into scripted television as a director? Would you like to continue focusing on features and commercials? And
Yeah.
also, yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah, every time I attempt to think about where I'm going, I maybe kind of stop myself short. So I think, I'm open to wherever the best stories are, what stories kind of help me transform as a human, what stories that allow me to kind of do service back for our global community, and what stories have like, a sense of truth in them. And so that can be in any medium. It can be a 30-second spot. It could be a 30-minute, television show, or it can be, a grand feature. So, I'm pretty open. I'm working on a few things that are in all of those mediums. And I think I don't normally go, oh, this is for this is for this. I just concentrate on the story and the characters and how it's going to engage with an audience.
Speaking of that, cinematography is so important as telling the story and being able to executing things and having that look and feel. Myself as a director, I know that's important to have your dedicated DP, or like your favorite bucket list of DPs. Do you have any special DPs, special DPs that you like working with?
Yeah, I mean, I am so blessed to have worked with each and every one of the DPs I've worked with, because it's I've learned something from each of them. And I haven't had like the one go-to person, which I think kind of leans towards the fact that I'm just kind of curious, and I love to learn new things. And everyone's bringing something valuable that I continue to like go back to. I love working with Isaiah Dante Lee, or my friend that shot Imperial Dreams, Monica Lemchuska. She's like one of my heroes, and I would keep up with her work, and then we talk all the time, and it's just like we're best friends. So I am I'm fortunate. I think I'm fortunate to work with a bunch of different filmmakers. And recently making this film Body Cam with Paramount and working with the cinematographer Pedro Luque, I learned even more working with Pedro. He's definitely a director of photography where there's things I didn't know how to do, where I had to lean on him, and he taught me how to create a scare, or how to set up a scare, or or actually execute one. So, it's what tool do you need for what piece that you're making I think is the question.
What advice would you give a little black and brown kids wanting to become a director/writer?
Yeah, the advice I give this to anyone trying to become a filmmaker, especially going over and seeing some of the kids that I know that are in the projects, I just try to give them access, and I know that their way in is going to be a non-traditional way, and just to embrace it, So if they're passionate about storytelling, do it whatever way you can. I have a friend of mine who taught himself how to filmmake on YouTube, and he put his first film on YouTube, and then got attention from that, and people told him, pull it down, we'll put it in a festival, and they put it in a festival, and then he got taken and flown around the world, and his work is now getting published, and he's speaking at Harvard, and he's got a career now, and he taught himself how to become a filmmaker. So it's all about the agency, and your agency as an artist. You are your own professor. And I would say that you can create yourself in any way that you want possible, study the poetics. It's not just filmmaking, it's having a voice, I think, is probably the most important thing. Like, what are you saying? So, you can study, ancient Chinese philosophies and bring those to your storytelling. Like, what's interesting about your voice is probably what I'll ask first. And then all the filmmaking stuff is, quite easy to pick up along the way. So say something new and train yourself in a way that you feel is unique to you and your voice.
Nice. So I guess our final question is, any final thoughts, any new projects you're working on, anything else you want to say, a shout out, a promotion, what have you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess since we are using this platform to attract other people to filmmakers, I say, it's nice when we all kind of step outside of our bubble and find somebody that may need a little bit more access. So I guess anyone that's listening to this, just ask yourself locally where you can kind of reach out and just give someone a little support that normally wouldn't have that support, and give them access to your community. And then we can see the fruits of our labor in a couple of years.